Any questions for me? Sure you do.
After looking at the tape, did you have a different perception of anything than you did come off the field yesterday?
Not really. Obviously, I always like to tell the team we played, they played well, and they did. But self-inflicted errors on offense were crucial. The 9 penalties on offense, which is unheard of and absolutely unacceptable. We forced a couple throws that we just got to, make the right reads. But about what I thought.
Is there anything you can trace back to like training camp that you would adjust maybe going into next year in terms of it, or was it just that day?
Training camp.
Yeah, anything in terms of how it was constructed and time and reps and things like that, since there were so many offensive operational issues?
No, I mean, of course, at the right time I'll review that. But when you start, like the penalties, we had, I believe, 1 substitution. That we had, alignment issues. That I don't know what that is. That's just lack of discipline, lack of focus. You're lined up off the ball, and then the receiver covered up someone once, and then a couple holding penalties. So, but we'll evaluate everything.
A lot of moving parts offensively, in and out formations, different personnel groupings. Do you maybe think about paring that down a little bit, simplifying things moving forward?
We had that conversation already, and we just, once again, we got home late. We met with the players, watched the videotape, and I just popped out here, so I haven't really met with the staff, offense staff this morning. On defense, I haven't had a chance yet.
Okay, and then you may look at me like I've got 3 heads here, but balancing developing a quarterback versus winning a game. In the second half of a game that's 3 touchdowns, you're not going to come back and win those very often at this level. Was there any conversation about, okay, let's just run the offense as opposed to maybe 2-minute and 4 wide and throwing 51 times with defensive got their ears pinned back? Is that, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was never a time that we threw up the red flag and said we're done. You've seen it before. I've been a part of games like that where a guy catches fire and you come back. I mean, there was times where we're moving the ball and you score. It was 27-14 at one time, and we're still cooking. And then makes a couple penalties and make a mistake, and then I think at the fine line is how do you continue to get reps for a young quarterback yet not wear your team out. You're down to 48 players active and then the practice squad. So that's the conversation piece we're having as well.
I know you said you haven't talked to defensive coaches yet, but only 1 sack for Josh, and it was, or 1 sack total, and it was for Josh pretty early on. Were you able to diagnose maybe why there wasn't?
We had 3 times we had him in our grasp, and he ran out, and 2 of them became big plays, and he got the ball out just on nick of time. So obviously you'd expect more sacks than that, but also understanding who you're going against, make sure we're aiming for the right shoulder. He spun out of it a couple times, but 3 times we had him wrapped up, and 1, they just made a great play, launched it on the field, and the guy went up and made a play. And there was other one was a pressure, and right in his face, and he got it out, and the guy made another play that we should have, 50-50 ball.
What do you tell those edge rushers, Caleb, Josh, when you watch the tape and you see that?
What do I tell them? Well, I haven't had a chance to visit with him yet, but we're going to visit as a staff, and then you just got to put, we call them snapshots. You got to snapshots. You have to put the players in those kind of positions in practice and train them to how to attack an athletic quarterback like that.
Coach, the interceptions that Trevor had, are they, in looking back, are they easily correctable? Is it,
yeah.
You talk about rookie mistakes, and does he probably know by now where things went wrong?
I would think he would after this meeting they just had as a quarterback room and unit room. I talked to him after the game, and after watching the film, those are very correctable, and he'll be the first one to correct them.
In the secondary, Andrew Wingard gets a start. Andre came in halfway, 3rd quarter-ish. What did you see at that second safety position opposite Rayshon?
Yeah, Cisco's really coming on. He's the guy that we were told when we drafted him, we really thought highly of him, we still do, is that he had that ACL, so he still, was a little bit on a pitch count during training camp. Wingard was the most consistent throughout. Missed a tackle, had a chance to make a couple plays. He just, we're not throwing anybody under the bus yet, but Cisco's a guy that we believe has a great future here.
And
And he
what
played pretty well when he was in there.
And what went into the inactives? I know obviously Walker, Jay Tufele were among the inactives. What went into the decision-making process there?
Oh, well, a lot of time was spent on Chappelle versus another D lineman. We just feel they have a very good returner. One of the bright spots was that returner they have is outstanding. And we kept him in check all night. Our punt team was, I think, 50-yard average and 48-yard net. We spent a lot of time on that. Coverage units were really good Saturday. And I was really, like my mind always does, I go right to that, who they have a returner. You want to lose a game fast, not cover. So that was where we spent a lot of time on Walker. Well, I think it's 8 linemen. And we just felt like Jay Richardson,
Well,
Will has been more consistent than Walker right now.
Urban, is there anything you learned from your first NFL game in particular?
Yeah, it's when you're playing, I always tell people, I've always told teams that when talent becomes equated, it's the margin of error is there is no margin for error. You're sitting there driving the ball. It's I want to say it's 14-7, and we get a 13-yard run, and the back judge throws a flag in there that we get a holding penalty. It goes back to 1st and 20, and then I just watched it. We went through it again. I was watching with Trent, and another time, guys, just the margin of error. You have a nice run, another flag pops out there, then all of a sudden another pick. So it's just consistency, and any time you're facing talented teams, the margin of error is very minimal.
just 5 carries for James. I know you just alluded to several of them got called back. What was your conversation with him after the game?
I've not had that conversation with James, but he's a guy we believe in. Him and those two actually played. Had a couple drop passes, but I thought Carlos ran the ball really hard. I thought overall we ran the ball at one point. Someone was saying 6 yards per carry. We were running the ball, and those damn penalties. And you find yourself off schedule, then you look at the scoreboard and you change your game plan. So that was one of the bright spots. I thought the tight ends played decent in the run game. I thought we blocked them decent in the run game, and the running backs ran hard. But we got out of schedule.
Malcolm Brown had 7 tackles. How did you feel like he played for you?
Very consistent. Josh Allen played the best on defense, and Malcolm was there. And I don't have that sheet in front of me, but Josh got the only guy really that played well enough to grade a winning effort.
I know you can't take penalties out of it, but penalties aside, how the offensive line?
For throwing that many times, and I think we gave up 1 sack. I'm trying to find the bright spots, and the bright spots are that they had pretty good defensive line, and our guys hung in there. We expect them to play better consistently throughout the whole game, but we're not going to be a 51. Better not be a 51 drop back times a game.
Having been through a week of preparation for a regular season game and a regular season game, do you adapt anything this week in terms of how you prepare the team now that you've been through it?
Positive is we're all healthy. I haven't got the final trainer report, but the original one right after the game was we're healthy. Everybody should be good to go. That's a positive. We met today. They get their lift in, and then tomorrow they're off, and then you go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Last week we had the bonus day. You had the Monday, but do what we do.
From a coaching standpoint, you felt like you take the same approach, installation and message and all that sort of thing?
That's different each week. We're not there yet, but that's what we're getting ready to go do now.
I understand you haven't talked to everybody yet, but following and now watching the game back once or twice, offensive play calling, what was your evaluation of how you guys were able to move the ball up and down the field and maybe not move it up and down the field?
Yeah, to me, it goes back to fix the self-inflicted errors, which you hear that quite often in this sport. And I had a chance to deep dive into the complete play calling. Watched it for 2 hours this morning. I'm going to go back and be involved in the afternoon meetings as well. But it's fixing the self-inflicted errors that put you backwards. And inopportune, we get a couple holding calls, and you're just 1st and 20, and you're trying to just get back in sync. So that took away when you start asking questions like James Robinson and the run game. 2nd and 20, that's what got us out of the on schedule game plan.
Trey Herndon, 1 more week. or do you have a chance?
It's close. Once again, I'll be in there in a minute.
You
Does
mentioned
that mean-
fixing those errors. Is it as easy as just spending one practice working on them?
Nothing's easy, but it's discipline. It's, power of the unit, we call it. It's the coach in charge of that unit, spending time and making sure that we get those things, I always ask, I know it happened, but why? Was it some call in that game plan that made that happen, or just lack of discipline? Like, why was we get a couple times the tackle? Well, it turned out the guard was a little bit back too far, and that's how the tackle gets lined up. So those are all things you got to work through and get fixed.
Did you think Agnew had chances in the punt return game? How did you think he did?
Yeah, I don't think we hit one. I'm just trying to, you catch me off guard with that. Did he have a few chances?
No.
It just seemed like it was maybe, again, novice, more side to side, not getting upfield, but I didn't know if that caught you
Yeah,
off
to
or not.
be honest, I haven't got deep into that yet.
Okay.
Great,
Thanks,
thanks.
guys.
I don't wanna bring up a negative, but you saw this.
You
Anthony-
don't?
You saw Anthony Brown coming. You saw him when he was in
Anthony
Northeast, right? The Oregon quarterback, who was in the Northeast. Wasn't he at UMass?
It was a Boston College.
Boston College.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
And you saw him up when